Hey everybody, my AOL password here with another video game review. Today we will be in Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. Sorry in advance if I have some coughs and stuff. I'm recovering from being sick and I'm feeling much better. So sorry in advance. But let's hop in here and I'll tell you what I like and didn't like, and we'll go from there. But this game is somewhat, I guess you could call it a sequel of the previous Stalker games. I am not super familiar with the story because I've only played the original Stalker way back in the day. And yeah, I'm just unfamiliar. What I got from it in terms of story was you land in Chernobyl or post-nuclear, post-apocalyptic type uh, region of that, and you have to figure out where these mutants anomalies are coming from, and that's kind of like the overarching story. And there's lots of factions, lots of different enemy types, and different allies. It's very much a an open world survival looter shooter type game, very much like Fallout. If you've played the Fallout games, whether the older Fallout games or the newer Fallout games, it has that vibe to it. Plus the the atmosphere of the Metro games. So if you like both of those series, uh, this Stalker 2 is kind of a like the baby of that. So yeah, story-wise, I got enough of it to understand what was going on, but I wasn't heavily invested. The gameplay was what kept me going. I love the survival open worldness of the game. Brings back a lot of the old school Fallout mechanics as well. Durability loss and degradation, um, weapon attachments modifications, all that stuff. Um, Carry weight, making sure you're not constantly over encumbered and whatnot. So it is it's very Fallout in that aspect. It has the combat of, if you want to say Fallout 4, the Metro games, or a generic first person shooter, and it felt fluid and it felt satisfying to use that. There was a bunch of different weapons you can use, ranging from your pistols, your shotguns, SMGs, assault rifles. There's RPGs, um, snipers or hunting rifles. So all the classes there. There's no like quote unquote rarity system. There's no rarity system. There are unique weapons in the game that you can get that have special modifications or special attachments. In that, there's your rads factor, and there's art. They call them artifacts that help you counter that as well, and other elements. The enemy variety was pretty good. A bunch of different like mutant anomaly types, different factions of enemies. There are um, multiple endings to the game. I think there's a total of four. There, and then one of them's like the civilian ending or whatever you want to call it. The military ending, and I think there's two military endings, and then one civilian slash stalker ending, and then one's like I think one's the bad guy ending, or not bad guy ending, but like the bad bandit faction. I don't know exactly, but there's four total endings, and each one has. I've only experienced one. I'm sure the four endings are substantially different from each one, and that you have dialogue options and actions that impact the the story that you go through, impact the different endings. So it's also there, so you're not constantly locked into one what you want to call it, section of ending, if you want to put it in there. One There's also mods on Nexus. So if you want to take a look at those, you're more than welcome to. It's not many. but a lot of it is mods from bug fixes and quality of life. I did take a peek of them. Majority of those mods are quality of life and performance fixes, because performance slash optimization was definitely the not the greatest. Just like any other new modern game, it's not a perfectly uh, fleshed out product. It I know the studio has been doing a ton of work in trying to fix the game. I know they've been pushing lots of patches and hot fixes. I remember there was one patch before I even or like after my first session of playing, the next patch was like over 100 gigs of bunch of stuff, whether it's memory leaks or just FPS drops or whatever. It is a very demanding game, like very demanding. Um, yeah, very demanding. You might need a really beefy computer just to run it smoothly. I kind of had a hard time trying to keep it at uh, s- even standard 1080 60. Some parts I was able to, but most of the time it was like 50 or 45 frames, all that stuff. So it if you have a beefy computer, you should be fine, but just be wary of that. Check your specs beforehand. So make sure the main issue for majority of players in this game in terms of performance is the shader compilation. Um, it does that shader pre-compiling every time you start up, which is really annoying, like really annoying. And uh, the big issue was that it would freeze about halfway through when it's doing that. Like when it goes normally, it takes about a minute. Um, I know for me personally, it was majority of the times I booted up the game, it's it always froze like halfway through. I know they pushed out a temporary fix of that if it freezes, you can exit out and relaunch the game, and it'll pull up a window that will say, "Hey, we're going to skip the shader compiling," which I know they're working on it. The studio knows that it's an issue. I know the studio, given it is a Ukrainian studio and their situation over there, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. And it they're working on it. We'll say that. It is a very fun game. I spent and the map is huge. The map is huge, limited fast travel. So it what you see now is only like maybe like an eighth of the map. It's pretty large. Um, so I spent about 45 hours casually going. I kind of rushed the ending a little bit, but I know people are saying it would take about 100 hours to actually like see everything in the game without the multiple endings. So there's a lot of content in one playthrough. So um yeah, that is that there. Uh lots of little nooks and crannies you can take a look at, whether they're useful or not useful. So yeah, that is that there. There is a hunger factor as well with the survivability, a hunger factor that you have to continuously eat, which also helps with inventory management. So if you like inventory management, this game is good of that too. Uh, but yeah, I know in terms of mods, I did, like I said earlier, take a peek and look around, and I did uh, install a couple mods that are like quality of life mods later in the game, later in my playthrough, because some of it got a little too annoying. Like there is a mod that has the removing the shader compilation thing for now until they fix that. There's also like um, there's some weight reduction mods. There's like longer sprint, like s- various stuff like that. I know I had the shader compilation one in longer sprint because sprint's really short in this game, but. Uh, Yeah, it overall I enjoyed it. I would love to get back into the game after they, flesh out stuff. The game only came out like a month or two ago, and I know there's at least two story expansions coming out for the game in the future. So I only have standard edition. So if you have the whatever highest tier edition, you get those um two story expansions there. So yeah, that's all I got uh, that I would cover. There is no skill tree. There's no skill trees or skill points or anything. So um, yeah. Anyways, like I said, that's kind of what I got there. I really enjoyed the game. You guys, I'm sure you would enjoy the game if you're into these in this genre. It is really good outside of its performance. The gameplay is really good. So um, yeah, thanks everyone for watching this video. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Write down in the comments what you liked or didn't like about the game. You can look at the my previous cringe game reviews. They're super cringe and unprofessional. So don't put me as a professional reviewer of any sort like that. The previous one we did was Star Wars Outlaws and Suicide Squad. So go check those out. Uh, check out my YouTube shorts. I'll put my socials down in the description below. So go click on all those links when you see it. And I will catch you all in the next video. So adios.